When people first hear about psychedelics and maybe hear about all the profound, beautiful, breakthrough love states that you can experience, then it's natural to ask, and it's good to ask, how is this not addictive? And this video is not exactly about that question, but hopefully it provides some good insight into why you don't just want to take more and more of an entheogen. So this topic is going to be, as I conceptualize it, about Durga's mace. And entheogens can very much act like Durga's mace. Durga being a god in the Hindu tradition, and you can generalize it. Other gods also have a mace, and the symbolism is quite similar, but for whatever reason, I really like Durga's energy. Now, I don't unfortunately have a nice mace to show you, but I will put an image on screen. And I think it's quite important on an archetypal level that this mace is big, not a more realistic small mace, but so big that when it hits you, it knocks the air out. A really oomph type of mace. Now, I have to mention that Durga's mace is not limited to entheogens. The mace is an experience and it can come into your life through many ways. As a simple example, if you have an investor or a businessman who puts all his self-worth and all his ambitions, all his life goals revolve around making money and being wealthy, if for whatever reason that businessman loses all of his money, that experience will just rock the ground out from underneath him. The carpet will be pulled out from under his feet, and that sort of experience of everything being shaken apart, that is Durga's mace. But if you want to experience it in a controlled way that doesn't actually shatter your external life, then entheogens can be a really good way to access that experience. And entheogens don't only provide this mace-like energy, they can provide other energies like nectar, sweet energies, and a conch shell energy. Lots of energies, but a very common theme, especially if you're using 5-MeO DMT or 5-MeO malt, and you're using it regularly to go deeper and deeper, you will come across this mace-like energy of entheogens. Now, I gave this example of a businessman, but more generally, one of the biggest uses of this mace is to reveal very generally that you are not separate from the outside world. Now, when I say that, it almost seems silly for me to verbalize it because I just know those words have no power. Me saying those words is not going to trigger something to make someone else realize, oh yes, I see how I am not separate from the outside. But the truth is that we feel like we're in here and the world is out there because the mind is spinning an illusion. But actually, all of it is created by who we truly are. And if you want to experience that for yourself, you can believe me or not, but when this karmic mace sort of hits you, that just becomes apparent. And when that happens, the love for the external world becomes like the love for yourself. The distinction really drops. So that's a very general, but not exclusive example of what Durga's mace can do for you. It can shatter all sorts of mental limitations. Now, the thing is, it might sound unpleasant to shatter who you are. All your mental concepts being shattered out of existence. Is that a nice experience? Not really. The thing is that all these things that are getting shattered, it's like the armor around you. It's like you're a knight, a medieval knight, and you're carrying around all this armor, which is like your mental conceptualizations about who you are, what you're attached to, that you're separate from the external world. And there are many, many pieces of armor that people metaphorically wear. And if you can imagine a knight, if you've actually seen a knight in armor, their visors close up to such an extent that you can't really see the world very well. And it's similar with our mental concepts. When we're carrying all this armor around, we're not free, we're stuck in the suit of armor, and although we feel safe, we're not truly alive in that way. So, when the karmic mace hits you, it goes straight through the armor. That's the quality of a mace. It doesn't cut through, it doesn't even knock off a helmet, it goes straight through the helmet. And you see what is actually the true state of reality. Now, when this mace hits you, once it's gone through and shattered the armor, metaphorically speaking, then you enter this breakthrough state of consciousness. And that is truly deep and very profound, life-changing, godly, pure goodness, consciousness, Shiva, all these beautiful words is on the other side of the shattering. But once you've had the experience, the desire isn't to go back and get whacked on the head with a mace again, although that probably will be your desire again in the future because you want to move to the next level, shatter another piece of armor. But the desire, at least for me, and I think for most people, is once you've been hit in the head with a mace, you want to remove the helmet. You want to remove your pieces of armor permanently. And that permanent removal of armor is done through sober meditation. It needs to be done through consciousness and through your willpower. And it requires you to take it off and then not put it back on when life gets challenging. And that can be very scary in a way to the nervous system. It's a very vulnerable type of energy because you've been walking around in this armor your whole life, and now all of a sudden you feel totally exposed. But like I said earlier, this visor that is covering up our face, our eyes, it is dulling and preventing us from seeing the true magnitude of existence. The reason I like Durga's mace specifically is because Durga means that which is beyond our conceptualization. Anything we can imagine, Durga is beyond that. And so is reality. The true essence of reality is so much greater than we can imagine. And to get there, we need to remove the armor of our mind. No amount of thinking will do that. And at some point in life, it's a common theme, the shattering aspect needs to happen. So how do you know when you've been hit by Durga's mace? I want to reiterate again that there's many levels to it. You can get hit by Durga's mace and have profound breakthroughs, but that might very likely be one aspect of your armor. And once you've let that go, there will be more and more layers of the armor. You can think of it like this suit of armor you're wearing is actually a composite suit with many layers. You know, it's quite interesting. You can visualize it in whatever way you like, but there could be a hard shell and then chainmail and then leather, whatever you like. But there's many layers that Durga's mace needs to hit through. But you can know that you're being actively hit by this mace when you're, like I said, your sense of reality is being shaken to the core and your heart racing, your heart beating really quick is a good solid example that you are experiencing what people call Durga's mace. It's like approaching a really beautiful woman and not knowing if she's going to fall in love with you or totally reject you. That sort of gets your heart racing because you're on the edge of absolute fulfillment of all desires and absolute shattering of all desires. And the heart, your life force, recognizes the serious predicament maybe that you may be in, and what you do in that situation when the heart's pounding, you just let the mace hit you and you totally feel what happens. Try and embrace the shattering experience, because when you feel the shattering happen, that is how you see the armor. And once you see the armor, you can take it off and not put it back on. Okay, so this is quite an abstract topic. I hope it makes sense to some people. But what I will say is, through this Durga's mace process, it is likely that you're going to experience very stark aspects of reality, and at the same time very loving aspects of reality. And the two can be very intertwined. At one point you might realize that everyone in your life, everyone you know wants the best for you, but then later on in another experience you might realize that actually you're just one speck, one human being, and in the grand scheme of things you are not important. So there can be this pendulum effect, dualistic effect of profound love and profound starkness. But I just want to encourage you to, if you're feeling mentally stable, take your time, pace yourself. But I want to encourage you that the love definitely cuts a lot deeper than the starkness of reality. At the deepest level, it's pure love with zero starkness.